Today we're talking about the GoPro Hero 7 and whether this version of GoPro actually replaces a gimbal. So before we go out and go play out in the wild with this guy, I just wanted to talk about GoPros for a second. I was super excited about version 5 when it came out. 6 was okay, I haven't been really using GoPros a whole lot, but version 7 with the Hypersmooth functionality is something that I'm actually very interested in, because when I use a GoPro, I use it, on my helmet, my chest, on a stick. This is my POV gear pole, and I use it to do all like the action camera stuff. I've been using it less because I've been doing a lot more with 360. There's just so much more functionality in post that you can do with 360 that allow you to get really cool shots. However, the footage is not as good as you'd get in, say, a GoPro. So I'm really excited about this version because of the Hypersmooth functionality and the like time warp feature, which is kind of cool, and I'm gonna play with that as well. Just having something that's super smooth that you don't necessarily need a gimbal is very appealing, because I'm not gonna bring a gimbal for a GoPro anyways. I would bring a gimbal for a bigger camera, but for something like this, I want a camera where I can, just like the camera, get good shots, or use this because it's such a small camera. It's good for grabbing those quick shots, action camera style stuff, and I don't wanna bring a bunch of extra gear beyond like things like pole. So that's why I'm excited about Hero 7, because there is a lot of new possibilities with this new Hypersmooth. But we really gotta see how this thing performs. So let's go and check out the stabilization. So we're gonna test how smooth this GoPro Hero 7 is, and we're gonna go for a little trail run, and all I'm bringing is my GoPro and a selfie stick as well. I'm gonna have my POV gear pole, but I am going to just kind of run with this and see how smooth it all is. What are we doing?
Do this. We're gonna run.
Where are we running to?
Up to Eagle Rock.
Great. I've also brought my GoPro Hero 6 so you guys can see a little comparison of how smooth this Hypersmooth actually is in comparison to like the older models. One last thing before we start this adventure, all the settings are gonna be on auto. I'm just shooting everything in 4K, 30 frames a second, and then just auto everything. So comparison between them, you can also see how the auto settings work on these cameras, how it judges exposure, all that good stuff. I am actually in Topanga right now. Jesse lives out in Topanga. A good spot to go trail running because there's a lot of trails out there. All right, first peak. We just climbed that hill all the way down there, and as you can tell, it is very windy up here. So I'm just gonna show you what it's like when it's windy and you're using the audio. Where are we going, Jesse? Eagle Rock? Oh, I'm out of breath. All right, we gotta go that way. All right, so we just got up to Eagle Rock. You can see it out there in the distance. But we're just gonna go and play on the rock in a minute. But before we do that, I'm gonna do a little side by side. So this is the 6. I'm just holding both these cameras like this, and I'm gonna hold them side by side. And I'm gonna run, and we're gonna see how good this Hypersmooth is on 6 to 7. Okay, so change of plans. I charged the 6 all night, and for some reason the battery is still not working. So we're going to do this run twice. Jesse gets to run twice.
I'm ready.
Yeah?
Let's do this.
All right. Okay, so now we're on the 6, take 2. We're gonna do this run again, and then I'll show you side by side. All right, so we just got to Eagle Rock. I'm gonna continue vlogging on the 6 for a minute just so you guys can see if there is a difference. I won't know until I get back to the computer. But we are at the Eagle Rock.
Eagle Rock, we're here.
test for a little light.
Be present.
So, I did a vlog up here once, a couple years ago. I'll put a link to it down below so you guys can check that out. Early Jeven Dovey vlogs. I came up here with my mom and we explored this cave. Where it says be present, it said we are all specks of dust in the galaxy.
Oh.
So,
New message.
new message, new year.
New vlog. New
vlog.
GoPro.
New GoPro. Alright, so I think I'm gonna end this test here. We are sitting on the summit of one of these peaks out here. We found a nice bench, kind of just enjoying the day. Yeah, super smooth, good stuff. So without going into a lot of detail on the other functions about this camera, I do think that this is a huge step up in terms of stabilization. This Hypersmooth mode, when used properly, makes it so you don't necessarily need to bring a gimbal to get cool, smooth shots with this kind of a camera. It makes it so you can get some awesome footage without carrying a bunch of extra gear. So I actually really like this version so far of the GoPro. In general, just working with it while I was out running today, the way that you use the GoPro has changed a bit, and they've actually changed the software on the back, so it's a much easier experience to use and change your settings and all of that. It's just much more intuitive. So there's definitely some major upgrades in this just beyond the Hypersmooth functionality of this camera. I've had a lot of people asking me about this camera and asking me if it's really worth the upgrade from the 5 or the 6 to this. But I have to say it all depends on how you're gonna use your GoPro. So if you're gonna be using your 5 or 6 on a gimbal and you don't mind using a gimbal, then the 5 or 6 is gonna work great for you. If you just wanna carry the camera and still be able to get smooth footage, then this camera will definitely get it for you. The Hypersmooth works very well, and that time warp feature, you can get some really cool shots that you couldn't necessarily get on the other versions of the GoPro. So I'm glad that I upgraded to this. I think I will actually take this with me, knowing that I have a super smooth camera always in my pocket, that I know I can get some awesome smooth shots with this. Now I'll do a more in-depth review about this camera as I use it more, play with it more, and just get my head wrapped around everything about this camera. It's hard to do like a full in-depth review with only like a couple days of playing around. So I'm definitely gonna take this on a few adventures, really test it out and really check everything about it. But my initial impressions with this Hypersmooth, the footage that I'm getting, this is an awesome camera and it was definitely worth the upgrade. All right guys, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's a lot of awesome filmmaking tutorials, camera reviews. Also, I have a creator film school that's nuts to bolts, everything that you need to know to have a career as a filmmaker or a creator. All right guys, I hope this was helpful in helping you decide if this is a good camera for you to get pretty cool footage. I'll see you on the next one.